pleasure to introduce the war correspondent for World Net Daily, one of the most watched internet sites in the world, frequent traveler to Afghanistan, the Middle East, and Europe, where, among other things, he is a panelist on the French version of Meet the Press. So if you're a fan of Kiosk in Paris, you already know Matthew Sanchez. Please join me in welcoming him now and the very difficult task of getting this program going. Okay.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. Just a couple of personal comments. Before I became a war correspondent, I had the pleasure of going to Kuwait and going into Iraq with our troops, American forces, and I met a lot of different people. My idea about Islam was very limited, but I recall being a Ramadi and celebrating Ramadan and being with a lot of different people who were Muslims, and just feeling how much it resembled Christmas. People got together, families ate, and it was a big celebration. There was nothing violent about it. That was always juxtaposed with acts of violence that took place from Islamists who, during that Ramadi celebration in 1997 of last year, exploded a car bomb and ended up killing the host of the party where I was that day, and that was a gentleman named Sheikh Sattar. So is Islam a threat, or is it a peaceful religion? Honestly, I couldn't tell you, and I think a lot of you are here asking some of the same questions. How much of a threat and how much of an involvement we in the United States will have with this force that seems to be growing. How much of a threat and how much of an involvement we in the United States will have with this force that seems to be growing.
Politics creates strange bedfellows is once again uncovered in our #1 story on the countdown tonight. Most of us have heard now about last weekend's CPAC convention in Washington, where conservatives heard speeches from presidential candidates and right-wing icons, and where Ann Coulter made a homophobic joke about John Edwards, complete with an anti-gay slur. At that same conference, an ex-Marine Corporal, Matt Sanchez, was also there, seen in this picture with Ms. Coulter. Mr. Sanchez was honored with the Jean Kirkpatrick Academic Freedom Award for speaking out about his treatment as a student at New York's Columbia University. Sanchez appeared on Fox News' Hannity and Combs, saying that at a campus event, because he identified himself as a member of the military, he had been called a baby killer by fellow students, and that the university was essentially doing nothing about how he was treated.
You're a great American. Thank you for your service to your country, and Semper Fi, my friend.
Semper Fi.
Bill O'Reilly invited Mr. Sanchez on his program to relate the same incident. And not only was Sanchez honored at CPAC, but other conservative icons have made nice, like Michelle Malkin, Newt Gingrich. But as explored by the nation's Max Blumenthal in the Huffington Post, who will join us in a moment, and as revealed by several gay blogs, Mr. Sanchez was once known apparently as Rod Majors, the star of some fairly frisky gay porn. Several sites also claim he was once a male prostitute. It is not known if the conservatives who often speak out against equal rights for gay Americans knew the full biography of Mr. Sanchez. Joining me now, as promised, Max Blumenthal, a contributor to The Nation and a research fellow at Media Matters for America, a self-described progressive organization that takes on conservative slants in the media. Good evening, Max.
Semper Fi, Allison.
So first of all, just to be clear, are you sure these are the same pictures of Rod Majors and Corporal Matt Sanchez? They are one and the same.
According to several gay bloggers, these are one and the same. I never saw the original pictures, so I'm just going on these accounts. And Matt Sanchez has given an interview where he essentially confirmed that yes, he is Rod Majors, the gay porn star, and yes, he was a male escort.
Now, in a correspondence with a blogger that we contacted, Mr. Sanchez acknowledged the porn work, but he did acknowledge that he wasn't exclusively gay. He said he was, quote, bad at being gay. So do you think that makes much difference to conservatives, whether you're good at being gay or bad at being gay?
Well, I don't really care what Corporal Matt Sanchez, a.k.a. Rod Majors, says. this is a guy who was supported by two networks at the same time. The first network was a gay sex network, and he sold his services for $200 a pop and $250 if he had to leave his house. The other network was a ideologically homophobic right-wing network that consisted of people like Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and David Horowitz, who used Corporal Matt Sanchez, a.k.a. Rod Majors, to advance their campaign to demonize the campus anti-war movement and academics in general. So he joined up with this right-wing culture war, and he's been unmasked by progressive bloggers as a hypocrite. I fully expect the people who supported him on the right to throw him under the bus now, because these authoritarian conservatives treat each other as compassionately as they treat disabled veterans, for instance.
Well, obviously Mr. Sanchez is entitled to associate with any kind of organization he wants, and if you've heard him in these interviews, he's really well-spoken, he's great-looking. So on the surface, you'd understand why any organization would want to be involved with him. But do you get the feeling that no one at CPAC or perhaps even over at that other news channel really knew his full biography?
Several gay bloggers, like for instance T-Rex at Fire Dog Lake, have talked for years about the existence of sort of a gay Republican underground railroad that's funneled people like Jeff Gannon and Corporal Matt Sanchez from the fringes of the adult industry into the core of the conservative movement, and they've played an influential role in the backlash politics of the conservative movement and the Republican Party. And that's really what's relevant here. It doesn't matter inherently that he was a gay porn star. What matters is that he's a hypocrite who's advancing the ideological homophobia of the right and helping them exploit this homophobia for political gain.
Max Blumenthal, a research fellow for Media Matters. You can read his blog on Huffington Post. Thanks for joining us, Max.
Yeah, thanks for having me.